Alyssa Nash, and I am an artist and mental health advocate.
Can you tell me about your own mental health journey?
So honestly, I this one's tough because I always think it's always been with me. I think a lot of people can say that with mental health. Like I've thought about it a lot, and I was like, well, since I was a small child, my mom can tell you I had severe anxiety, and even growing up, I had depression and all of that stuff along with it. But I think a lot of it over time now, in my short 28 years, but feel like 104, you know what I mean? But I think the life experiences packed on to it, definitely, probably amplified it a little bit more. You know what I mean? A lot of Most of the time I was in and out of therapists a majority of my life, and different medications and everything like that. But finally, like a year and a half ago, I started intensely working on trying to figure out what was actually going on. And so I'm a part of a research study. I have been for 8 years because I also carry a gene associated with frontotemporal dementia, which my dad carries, as well. And he was 38 when he started showing symptoms, and I was 11. And so there's a lot of packed on things with that. And so I found out I had the gene when I was 20 because I just wanted to have control, a sense of control in a way. But it put me down a rabbit hole of kind of giving up. You know what I mean? Because there was this huge fear about it. And so I basically, yeah, so there was a lot of years of chaos in my own head. And so finally, like I said, a year and a half ago, I finally admitted to the things that was going on. And I started trauma therapy, and I started healing really hard internally and trying to reframe my brain. You know what I mean? And because then I finally got diagnosed with complex trauma. And so, and that made sense. You know what I mean? There was a lot of years of, was I bipolar? Was I, that mixture of everything. And I was always very vocal of I don't think I'm bipolar. You know what I mean? I was always very open, if I'm bipolar, yeah. You know what I mean? But I always felt like there was something deeper that I could work on, you know what I mean? And try to help in that sense. And so finally, I made that appointment, and they finally figured out that it was the complex trauma. And I was grateful for that, because then I started going down um, the path of the trauma therapy, and the right path for myself.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder
Yep.
5 years ago, and it felt more like a light bulb moment. Like all this makes
Yes.
sense now. Did you have that?
Yes. And so for me, it was I was always okay with the terms of, the bipolar, you know what I mean? But it never sat right with me. You know what I mean? I never felt like I couldn't control, in a sense, what was going on. It was definitely situational for me. You know what I mean? And so when finally somebody like Mayo, finally, they were like, it was a light bulb for me to be like, okay, because with the complex trauma, you have to explain everything you've been through and unpack all of it. And you're like, and then finally somebody to be like, oh, yeah, okay, this makes sense. You know what I mean? So that light bulb and that beautiful feeling of, I don't know, that beautiful feeling of being seen in some way, whether it be yourself or by a doctor, is probably one of the most enlightening moments, I think, for myself too. So yeah, I agree with that.
What inspired you to get into art?
For me, it's always been a part of my life. Always. I think even I was a very creative kid. No matter what, and especially the things that I was going through, I've realized, especially with my trauma theory and therapy and everything, if I wasn't creating, honestly, I don't know where I would be in my life. You know what I mean? It was an outlet for me, whether I showed anybody any of it or not. You know what I mean? Like that's how I got an energy release in some way or another. You know what I mean? And so for me, getting into art, I've always been in it. You know what I mean? Like, but like we'll go on later to tell, like there was many years I didn't create. And because like my body was in survival mode for a long time. And so there was a moment, there was many years that I didn't create and I just felt like a zombie. You know, it was, and that's when those marker years are the years that I'm like, yeah, I was not myself at all. So yeah, it's like that thing that I think it's always been with me, but also having to dive back into it has been enlightening and a beautiful thing.
With diving back into it, how does it help your mental health?
It helps, well, it helps me release the things that are in my head. You know what I mean? It helps me like it doesn't matter if I'm writing on it, like if I'm journaling in my journal, if I'm doodling some random doodle, you know what I mean? Like it helps release, in a sense, what is trapped. You know what I mean? Like it's, for me, that's the way that it comes out, is the way that the art is. And um for me too, it's like, you know, other people can go and talk in groups of people and be extroverts and they can get out their stuff that way. And that's not me. I'm a very much an introvert artist. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how I release and regulate myself in a sense.
What are your favorite types of art to create?
Well, I'm really, so right now I've been working a lot with text art and like
Yeah.
calligraphy and my words. And I'm really proud of those. Like, I don't necessarily think I can pick one favorite of those because I think as a set, there it follows every stage of what I'm going through and I will continue to do that. You know what I mean? And it's my words and it's cuz like I'm telling people now I'm like I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I really didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're been so silent for so long about what's been in your head and then all of a sudden finally this, like you said, that light bulb moment and then starting the healing and then finally the words are coming out. For me it's like it's been puking all over the place finally that like my words, I know how to articulate what I'm feeling in a sense. And so like I've been having fun actually putting that on paper and then making it in a beautiful style. And so for me I've been really loving that, but also I really enjoy oil painting. And so I'm trying to get back into building that up. It's like riding a bike, right? Like I did it a lot and now I have to build that skill back up. So I'm working on that. But yeah.
And I was looking at your LinkedIn page, and you do have a lot of quotes and stuff on there that you created. How does
I
it
do.
feel to get those quotes and thoughts out to the public?
It's okay. Well, so for me, it's like, it's more than like, for me, it's the building, right? Like I'm building, bringing my words out. And I think for me, what was really hard at first was, um, I think like this idea of trying to be seen in the beginning, you know what I mean? But I had to let that go and just continue to produce the words. And I'm grateful that like I had this fear that like it would shut off again in some in some way. It would turn off and I wouldn't be able to create like I was, but it's been a year and a half and I'm still creating the words and I'm still creating my words, which is more than I could have ever imagined for myself. I never thought I would be able to do that. So like it's really beautiful in the sense of that I can take my experiences and put it into words in a way that might help somebody else see themselves. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
then for me, when I was diagnosed 5 years ago, I never saw like videos of people with
Right.
any lived experiences. All I saw is a lot about data research and stuff, but I really needed someone who had those lived experience and,
Yeah.
telling their stories. How important is it to tell your story to others?
Oh, massive. I think for me, um, I have a couple other interviews about what my family and myself have gone through with my dad and my gene of um with the FTD. And so that alone, sharing my story in that was massive for myself because it was a way that I think like I always internalized it and I felt so alone. You know what I mean? Like I felt like nobody knew what I was like, what I felt and what I was going through. And so me releasing that and somebody reaching out to wanting me to share that part of my story was massive and it opened the doors to a lot more things. And I think it actually helped. And that was like the start of it, like boosted me wanting to get help. You know what I mean? It was like this, like I started a couple months prior to those, but like it was me realizing how much more work I had to do. And so it was like, and still will, like we all know healing is not linear. You know what I mean? So it's this I think it's so important because if I can just help one person see themselves and like be like you are not alone
Mm.
in any of it, like especially in like the 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 complex trauma part of it or like in any shape or form, mental health, period. Like, none of us are alone in that. You know what I mean? None of us. And so, like, that feeling of finally being connected to people like you and being connected to people that have shared experience, like, not like what I always say is they're not exactly the same experience, but they're shared experiences and they're
Mm.
shared to make one powerful story. You know what I mean? Of just lived experiences of people that struggle within their head, you know? And so like if I can help one person see themselves to be authentically themselves without worry, that's everything I would ask for.
What is some of the feedback you've gotten with your art?
Well, I live in a rural Iowa of 3,000 people. It makes it a little difficult for networking. And
Right.
so that's where the social media and where I've been posting a lot comes in handy because like I'm starting to get networking with other artists that are trying to show me how to do things and how to maneuver around it because social media can be a very 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 hard place. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
think we all know that. We all know that how difficult it can be. And so for me there was a lot of turmoil within myself and I think also putting myself out there like finally releasing my art was whew, it was tough because for me it was like I was like stock holding my art because I knew how particular it was with me and it was basically I was releasing myself to the world, something that like is terrifying to do. And so like yeah, I mean, it's starting to get traction, but I definitely know like in person, I don't see I'm starting to see people come around and people are talking to me about um my art and stuff like that and all that jazz. So it's starting to get traction, but it's been a year of it though. It's been a year and a half of me doing it. And it's kind of felt like this like, hey guys, I've been an artist and I've always been an artist. I just disappeared for a bit. You know what I mean? So it's been like this it's the building. And so I'm grateful that it's starting to be seen and starting to be recognized and that people are appreciating it. You know what I mean? And so it's starting to get a beautiful alignment in the words that I say. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it's starting to happen. And I'm really grateful for that. I think more people love, and like I said, I'm starting to get back into my oil painting, but like in today's world, they do appreciate the oil paintings and like what you can do with that. But like for me, I've been staying in my path with my words because I know how powerful they can be. I think anybody's words are powerful. And so like I've been working on those a little bit more, but I have a studio in my basement that I paint every now and again, but oil painting takes months. So that's one that, you know, it's a little bit more of a process, but yeah.
What else do you do to help your own mental health?
Oh, I'm a hiker. I I love photography too. So I've been taking a lot of photos of nature. Me and my dog Nala, she just turned 11 on Halloween. She's my Halloween baby. Um, me and her have been hiking a lot. We have a beautiful park in town. It's called Spring Park in Osage, and I could be there for hours. You know what I mean? So like for me, right now there's like a thing going around as mental health walk, and I completely agree with that. Like, you know what I mean? It's a way that I
Yeah.
go out and I get out of my own head and I see the nature around me. And we've been going on adventures to like, because I'm only like 30 minutes from the Minnesota border. And so I
Oh,
like to
okay.
go to, yeah. And Minnesota has the parks. You know what I mean? Like they have so many parks. And so we've been going up a lot up there and exploring different parks. And so that's what we do. For me, also, I'm a reader. I read poetry. I read nonfiction. I'm a very big nonfiction person because I just love to get more knowledge and learn
Yeah.
different things. So I'm glad that's back because like I said, when I wasn't creating or like looking for those inspirational movements of my life, not good. You know? So I'm grateful to have that back.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
Keep going. I think for me, I we all hear it, right? And I'm sure we all were in that phase of like rolling our eyes like, yeah, keep going. You know what I mean? But I think for me, there were a couple very, very dark years that like if I didn't like, I kept going, luckily. You know what I mean? And so like, I made a piece that said something like, um, please stay. You have yet to see yourself in the life you've dreamt about. You know what I mean? Like that idea of like, no matter how hard life can get and beat you down, you just got to keep going because you have so much yet to witness and so much yet that your light will build for yourself that I lost track of. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited in that mindset, but like, yeah, like keep going, keep looking at yourself in a beautiful way.
You started your mission only like a year and a half ago, but where do you want to see your mental health mission in the next 3 to 5 years?
I want to be able to be, I mean, obviously, I'm going to continue to work on myself and continue to work on um, my healing journey and everything like that. Like, continue doing it, obviously. If I don't, crap. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be
Yeah.
continuing. Yeah, right? Like, hopefully, I continue doing it and we're going to. But, like, for myself, always continue to focus on me. And I think for me, realizing those glimmers in each day have been incredible. Like in the trauma world, like there's trauma and then there's glimmers, right? And so like the glimmers are the small joys you find in every day. And so like that has changed myself massively. And then I want to be able to be helping people with my art, and I want to be able to be creating full time and be able to share my story, help others realize theirs, and in a way also maybe help them see their creative too, because we all have it, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm hoping to be able to do that.
How can people reach out to you and learn more?
They can reach out to me. I have that LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn page. It has
Yeah.
my email, I'm sure, on there. So like you can reach out to me on my socials, on my email, any of that sort. I'm sure I will see it because like I said, I'm an introverted person that is on my phone a little bit too much. So, so yeah, you can reach out to me on the email and my social anyway.